There was no bomb, but it was a terrifying drama all the same. A teenage girl is recovering this lunchtime after spending 10 hours shackled to a suspected explosive device in her wealthy parents' home in Sydney. A masked intruder broke into the property yesterday afternoon, attaching the device to the girl and leaving a ransom note. Reporter Ben Worsley joins me now from outside the girl's house in the northern suburb of Mosman. So, Ben, what's the latest on the girl's condition first?
Ros, you can only imagine what Madeleine Pulver experienced overnight. As you mentioned, 10 hours with what she thought was a bomb strapped to her body. Police say she's extremely shaken and traumatised, but otherwise in reasonable shape. She went immediately to hospital after the situation was resolved last night and was released a few hours later into the, no doubt, very grateful arms of her family. She's with them now and police are waiting to talk to her later on once she's up to it. And conduct a formal interview. We've spoken to a few of the people who live around her here, a few of her friends and neighbours. They've obviously expressed shock as to what's happened to their friend and also to what's happened in their neighbourhood. And they've also talked a little bit about how they think she would have coped under such circumstances.
If it was anyone to keep it together the whole time, it'd be just like through the whole ordeal, it'd be her. She's probably the strongest person I reckon you could put in that situation. It was just like outrageous that anything like that would actually happen. Like, I couldn't believe it at first. I thought it was a bit of a joke. But yeah, it's nothing I'd ever expect to happen, especially around this area.
So Ben, how much do we know about what actually happened?
Police were called about 2:30 yesterday afternoon by a member of the girl's family. She had called them reporting a balaclava-wearing intruder had come into the house while she was studying. Police arrived shortly after to find what they thought was a bomb strapped to her chest, the size of about a shoebox. Now, immediately, much of the street, as you can see behind me, was evacuated. Around 20 or so of residents directly near this house were evacuated. And then, for 10 hours, the police spent talking to her, comforting her and examining the device and taking advice as to what it might be. They talked to the AFP, the Defence Force. They even talked to a British military specialist who happened to be in town at the time. At midnight, as we now know, they realised it was safe to remove it, and they did so. They found a note with the device, which is obviously the major clue in this case and goes to potentially the motivation. There are reports of an extortion attempt. It's a very well-known, wealthy family. Police are keeping cards quite close to their chest, but they do say the note indicates that this most certainly was not a random attack. This person knows, if not knows the family, knows of the family. A wide-scoping investigation is now underway.
We're speaking to certainly a number of agencies, not internationally, but within Australia, the AFP in particular. We are making inquiries internationally, but we're not speaking to any international agency.
So Ben, it is now nearly 24 hours since all this began. What's the focus of activity there?
Ros, it looks quite quiet probably from where you're sitting, but there's still a very large police presence. 2 truckloads of riot squad officers just pulled up down the hill where the house is. Detectives and forensic officers are still filing in and out, obviously investigating the scene and the immediate vicinity. And as far as a media presence, even by the standards of a large story, it's a massive media presence, as if the neighbours in the area haven't had enough to put up with in the past 24 hours. You would suspect it's going to remain like this for some time to come.
Ben, thank you.